They say imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. Or is it jealousy? Or is it insecurity, not being secure enough in your own skin so you feel the need to act, talk, or be like other people? Well, I would say that all of these traits or mindsets could be accurately attributed to Gavin Newsom and his feelings towards our great president, Donald J. Trump. But before we get to that, my name is Blake Cresses, and this is Trending Politics. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay up to date with all political news. So if you've been staying off of X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it recently, you may be unaware that Gavin Newsom has been hilariously and pathetically attempting to copy President Trump's tweeting patterns. As we all know, President Trump has an extensive history of hilarious, mean tweets that often get him into a lot of trouble, but make his ardent followers like us laugh very hard. He has this unique way of getting his thoughts out there and of talking, typing, where he just says these very funny things that only President Trump would say. He has these taglines, these quotes. I'm not going to get too much into it, the so trues, the many such cases, and talking in all caps and assigning hilarious nicknames to his political opponents. Well, Gavin Newsom has been trying to do these same things, painting himself as the left-wing Donald Trump. And some people really love it. A lot of people on the left pretend to love it. In my opinion, it's very astroturfed. It's very fake. It's the new Kamala Harris's brat or whatever that meme that happened in 2024. It's pathetic. Honestly, that's the best word to describe it as. But it's been gaining a lot of traction. I can't deny that. And Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor, who previously years ago had a debate with Gavin Newsom, sort of the two governors, the Republican and the Democrat governor, facing off on their ideas for the future of this country. Neither of them were running for president at the time. It was just governor versus governor having a debate. Ron DeSantis obviously won. Gavin Newsom embarrassed himself trying to defend the dissolute state that he has caused the state of California to be in. And Ron DeSantis had some things to say about Gavin Newsom now trying to position himself as the left-wing Donald Trump. So we're going to watch that clip right now. Let's check it out.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Governor, before we get to immigration, I got to ask you about Newsom. You debated this guy. You've seen what he's all about. He's acting real tough now online, or he has a little army that's doing his work for him. What do you make of this guy?
Well, obviously, he's got a very poor record, and we showed that when we did the debate. But, he's spending all this time being cheeky on social media, and yet people can't get permits to rebuild their homes in Southern California. We had an issue where you had an illegal alien truck driver that got a commercial driver's license in the state of California, employed by a California company, kill 3 people in Florida. This guy didn't even speak English. We're bringing him up on charges. He's going to face a lot. And I can announce, Jesse, that I said initially the company needs to be held accountable. And we've been working with the federal government, and they are pulling that company's license to do business because you cannot employ somebody who cannot read the road signs. Why is he spending all this time, trying to be fresh with President Trump? Why doesn't he do his job and protect the people? And as much as we somehow poke fun at California, oftentimes because of all the problems that the liberal policies have allowed, that is spilling over into the rest of the country. And Florida is a tragic example with 3 of our fellow citizens who were dead because of his sanctuary policies.
Yeah, it's like he sent a knife on wheels out there, and God bless those families. I can't even imagine what that's like. The alligator Alcatraz situation, Governor, it's going nationwide. You got the Cornhusker Clink, you got the Speedway. I can see this thing taking off. Gutfeld's got a few cheeky names he'll tell you in the commercial break. But what has the alligator Alcatraz phenomenon meant for the country?
Well, when President Trump took office, it had 4 years. ICE had 4 years of being depleted by Joe Biden. Obviously, he has an open border policy. And so they needed more space. And so Florida, we're on board with all this. We're the only state in the country that requires all of our law enforcement agencies at all levels to participate with ICE and help with the deportations. But they needed more space. So alligator Alcatraz is thousands. And we just announced the opening up in Northeast Florida, a deportation depot at the Baker County Correctional Institute. And so we obviously have Alligator Alcatraz in southern Florida. This will be in northeastern Florida. And I just want to dispel any rumors. We are not putting any unruly Georgia fans at the Florida-Georgia game in our deportation depot. That's not true. People are saying it online. Totally not true. It's for the processing and deportation of illegal aliens.
Well, as a native Georgian, I'm happy to hear that last part. But anyways, so Governor DeSantis brought up a point that I failed to in my introduction here, which is that it's not actually Gavin Newsom making these tweets. It's his weird team of Gen Z Zoomers, plucky little liberals, probably recent graduates of UC Berkeley. We don't really know these people. I know one of them is Latinx or Latinx or whatever you want to call them. And one of them was just this dorky looking low testosterone kid. But yeah, it's not Gavin Newsom actually coming up with this stuff, even though he does do a lot of trash talking on social media as opposed to doing his job and, maybe protecting the people of California, cleaning up the state of California, the disgusting state that it's in right now. Such a sad thing to see. It is objectively, I don't want to offend anybody here, but, geographically, it is the most beautiful state in the nation. There's no denying that. I mean, you could make an argument for Montana or whatever, but it's gorgeous. And we've let these liberals run it into the ground and make it a terrible, unaffordable place to live. But anyway, DeSantis brought up that tragic car crash where he had this foreigner, this illegal immigrant who couldn't even speak English. He was given a CDL license and caused a tremendous horrific crash on a Florida highway, made it all the way across the United States, not even being able to read the road signs or speak our language. Why do we allow this to happen? Well, it's because of people like Gavin Newsom who, Democrats who allow these criminal illegals in and inevitably end up aiding and abetting the murder of American citizens. But with that, we're going to move on to this next clip of Ted Cruz similarly talking about Gavin Newsom and his social media tirades. Let's get over this right now.
All right, joining us now, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. I'd love to do another debate with Gavin Newsom and Governor DeSantis, my governor, or maybe maybe you should debate Gavin Newsom. I think we should all have the conversation publicly. If he wants to act like Donald Trump, let's see if he can pull it off.
Well, look, I'm more than happy to do that. Gavin Newsom is very good at being slick. He's very good at running away from the facts and running away from the record. But you think about California. California has massive advantages. It has beautiful scenery, beautiful natural resources. The Pacific Ocean is gorgeous. The mountains are incredible. The weather is 75 degrees all day long. It's been blessed to be an incredible economic engine of this country for decades, and it is amazing. I spend a lot of time in California. As you know, my wife Heidi is a native Californian. When I'm out there, I look around and I'm like, how did these people manage to screw this place up? And it's a combination of every bad left-wing idea. So it's out of control taxes, it's out of control regulations, it's out of control lawsuits. You try to start a business, you'll get sued like crazy. Your house gets burned down in a fire, you can't rebuild the house, you can't afford it. You couldn't get insurance because the lawsuits are so bad there, no one would insure your house to begin with. And you know what? Before your house burned down, you had people breaking in and robbing it because the police there won't prosecute criminals. They won't lock up someone who attacks you. Their view is abolish the police. Their view is let the criminals go. And that's not to mention the illegals that Gavin Newsom is inviting in. If you're an illegal alien, come to California. If you're a Venezuelan gang member, come to California. If you're a murderer or rapist, Gavin Newsom wants you to come to California. And the double standard, look, I get how Hollywood gazillionaires can live in opulence along the Pacific Ocean. But it is incredibly hard for working men and women. If you're a cop in California, if you're a teacher in California, if you're an electrician in California, it is really tough to make ends meet. And there's a reason the people of California are fleeing. They are fleeing and coming to Texas. One of my favorite...
Very true. So he goes on to talk about how U-Haul trailers or U-Haul trucks and trailers cost 5 times more to move out of California than they do California to a place like Texas or a red state than it would to rent a U-Haul and drive it from a red state to California. In fact, it's actually doing U-Haul company a favor if you're, for whatever reason, moving to California. We've got thousands of people leaving it. No one wants to move to it these days. What does that say about Gavin Newsom's leadership? But anyway, it does really seem like Gavin Newsom is doing anything but his job. I mean, we've got this new situation on X right now, him trying to be President Trump. And then before that, a couple months ago, he was trying to start a podcast and trying to do a little middle of the road thing, talking to people like Charlie Kirk. And it was just really weird. He's never actually helping out the people of California. He's just further destroying it and helping out illegal aliens and people who hire underage children to work on pot farms. Very interesting stuff from Gavin Newsom right there. But we have to be very careful because he's obviously trying to position himself as the Democratic frontrunner for 2028. And he is, objectively, not trying to be weird here, he's a handsome guy. You know, low information voters who happen to be women or homosexuals are going to be very likely to vote for him. But he can put on this moderate face when in reality, and his record will show this when it inevitably is publicized if he does decide to run for president, that he is as far left as they come. He's worse than Biden. He's worse than Obama. He's just as bad as both of them. He's run his once great state completely into the ground. He puts criminals and illegal aliens first. But we do need to be very, very careful. Now, I truly believe that J.D. Vance is going to be the front runner. And linguistically, in a debate, he could run laps around Gavin Newsom. I mean, DeSantis himself did a great job, but J.D. Vance, he surpasses Ron DeSantis in that skill set particularly, and he will decimate Gavin Newsom. But we do need to be very vigilant with what the Democrats are planning and what Gavin Newsom himself is planning, especially if he is trying to position himself as a moderate, despite the fact that he is one of the most far left-wing people in the country. And it's actually more dangerous than a Joe Biden or something like that because he is more competent than a person like Joe Biden. And I don't mean that in a good way. I mean competent as in he, not being a senile old geriatric, would actually be able to effectively implement these left-wing policies in a greater capacity than geriatric Joe Biden would be able to. But with that, my name is Blake Cresses, and this has been Trending Politics. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay up to date with all political news. You can follow me on Instagram or X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Blake Cresses. My name's right there at the bottom left if you need help with spelling. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.